Hey folks, David Stewart here. Time for some more Storycraft. That is the art of telling stories. And today we're going to talk about deals with the devil in literature. And even going all the way back to folklore, we see deals with the devil as a really popular and effective device. Indeed, I am using a deal with the devil as one of the devices in my next book, which I'm hoping to come out with soon, but I gotta stop recording videos and get over to finish writing it. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this, which I think is a really, really fun topic. So here's some things that you'll notice with deals with the devil, whether it's from the folklore origin or it's being incorporated into modern literature. And that is that there's always an asymmetry of information between the devil and the person making the deal with the devil. The person making the deal with the devil almost always gets the worst end of it because he doesn't have full knowledge of what he's actually doing. Now, before I go any further, it's not always a deal with the devil. It could be a proxy for the devil. The whole point is that the person is going to make a deal with an evil being that is malicious, does not have their best interests at heart, and we're usually going to have that asymmetry of information. So a person may make a deal with the devil in saying, I want this person to love me. I want this girl to fall in love with me. What the devil knows, the devil has a better knowledge of that girl. He knows that once he captures the girl, he's going to find something about her intolerable. So that's what happens. I'll give you my soul if I can get this woman I'm infatuated with. So he gets the woman he's infatuated with, marries her, finds out that she's a horrible shrew, or she's really bad, or she's lazy. There's something bad about her that makes him miserable in the long run once the infatuation runs out. So there's an example of that. There's a lot of great examples from folklore. One of my favorites where the devil basically gets the worst end of the bargain, at least initially, is Bearskin, one of my favorite fairy tales. And this is where a soldier makes a pact with the devil that he's not going to pray or bathe or cut his hair, cut his nails, wash, and he's going to have to wear this skin of a bear as his blanket and like his cloak for 7 years. And if he can do it for 7 years, number 7's often used in these, by the way. If he can do it for 7 years, then the devil will basically give him untold wealth and give him all that he wants in life. And indeed, once he is able to complete that, that's what he gets, because what he gets as part of the bargain is that he has a pocket full of gold that's infinite. He can pull his hand into his pocket and get as much gold out of it as he wants. And he uses this to try to help people, but everybody shuns him because of how ugly his appearance is and how stinky he is because he doesn't bathe. And he ends up basically making a deal with a guy who's in horrible debt. He pays off all of his debts and gives him huge amounts of gold in return for him betrothing one of his daughters to him. And his 2 elder daughters run away. They don't want to have anything to do with this bearskin, but the younger daughter, who's kind of hard and realizes what this guy's done, she agrees to marry him. Well, he completes the 7 years, and the devil is upset about it because he gets the worst end of the deal. Somebody's actually held up their end of the bargain. The devil doesn't get to keep his soul. Part of that is that if he dies within the 7 years, he would lose his soul to the devil. And so what does he get? He gets to pull as much gold as he wants out of his pocket and basically be rich. And the devil cleans him up and makes him as good as new as he was before the 7 years. He goes back and he gets to marry the younger daughter, but the 2 older daughters, upon realizing what they shunned, this incredibly handsome rich man, they end up killing themselves, at least in some versions of the tale. And the devil comes back and says, well, I got the better end of the bargain still because I got 2 souls instead of just 1. So your actions have brought me 2 wicked souls through suicide. And of course, that's going to have more traditional Catholic and Christian backgrounds as far as attitudes towards suicide being something that's mortally sinful. So that's one of my favorites because the hero really gets the better end of the bargain for the most part. Now, my other favorite is another German one. So, but that one's you can read that one. That one's part of Grimm's fairy tales. This is another German one called Defy Shoots that ended up becoming one of my favorite German romantic operas. One of the first German romantic operas from the early 1820s, written by Karl Maria von Weber. And it's just a great opera. If you've never heard a recording of it, you can listen to it or try to find some kind of stage recording of it. Basically, the framing device is there's a great marksman in town. There's going to be a shooting contest. If he wins the shooting contest, he gets to marry the woman that he's infatuated with, which is the mayor's daughter. There's different versions of this, but Weber's version ends up with a happy ending. But all of a sudden, before the match, he can't shoot. Now, this is, of course, the influence of the devil. The devil is preventing him from being a good marksman. So he goes off into the forest, and, I think in Weber's, it's Samuel, who's like a proxy for the devil. But he makes a deal with the devil. And the devil gives him 7 magic bullets and says, these 6 bullets will hit whatever you want them to hit. They will hit with 100% accuracy. But the 7th bullet belongs to the devil. And I think the word, I'm trying to remember the German word they use, but I think it means monkey. So it's like the 7th one is basically going to not hit what you want it to hit. It's going to hit what the devil wants it to hit. And so he makes this deal with the devil and goes to the shooting contest and, of course, wins the shooting contest, but then gets pressured to make one more fantastic shot. He shoots everything as a bullseye, and that's the 7th bullet. What does it hit? It hits the woman he loves. And so, and I think the traditional tale, she dies, and there's been multiple retellings of this device, but basically through making the deal with the devil, he ends up with the worst part of the bargain because that's just the way it is. So all of these deals with the devil stories have a cautionary element to them, which is that if you make a deal with the devil, you're probably going to get the worst end of it. The devil is very clever, and he's probably cleverer than you. He probably knows more about the situation than you, and he does not have your best interests at heart. It is an asymmetric deal, and you're probably going to end up on the worst end of that bargain. Now, one of my very favorite modern iterations of this is actually from Futurama, the TV show Futurama, created by Matt Groening and I think David X. Cohen. The final episode, I think, of season 5, the initial run of Futurama before it was canceled by Fox. This is the original series finale. It's a little musical. And in it, Fry is trying to capture the heart of Leela, who, of course, he's in love with. And so he goes down to the robot devil to make a deal with the devil. And so there's like, Bender's like, if we could make a metaphorical deal with the devil. By devil, I mean robot devil. And by metaphorical, I mean get your coat. So they go down to New Jersey, which is where the robot devil lives, and they make a deal with him. And so the devil says, well, here's a big wheel of all the robots, and I will make your hands switch with the robot's hands because you can't play this musical instrument called the holophonier to impress Leela because your hands are stupid. So he's like, okay. So he spins the wheel, and it lands on Bender and then goes one tick forward over to Robot Devil. And so the devil gets the worst end of the bargain. And it's like, what? I can't believe that this happened like this, and so the devil chops off the hands and switches his hands with Fry's, and Fry gets these wonderful devil robot hands that can play like 2 fiddles at once and do all these things. So he goes to play his holophonier, and all of a sudden he's a virtuoso holophonier player, and he creates an opera. He writes an opera to impress Leela, and of course she's very impressed with him and all that sort of stuff. But the devil is not satisfied with how this has turned out. He's got the worst end of the bargain. He's not going to allow this to stand. So he goes through a series of very convoluted deals with other people around Fry in order to get his hands back and to make Fry get the worst part of this. So he trades Bender like his butt plate, which all of a sudden, Bender trades his butt plate for like a horn that makes really loud noise. And the horn deafens Leela so she can't hear Fry's opera. And then, of course, Bender immediately regrets the deal because the air horn runs out of air, and then he doesn't have a butt plate. He says, like, bite my shiny metal, and he realizes he doesn't have his butt plate. And so he got the worst end of the devil's deal. Leela, meanwhile, is deaf and doesn't want Fry to know that she's deaf, so she makes a deal with the devil. The devil says, I'll give you my robot ears in exchange for your hand. Now, we know that this is like a substitute of words. He's being a little bit conniving. He's being a little bit of a trickster here. So he reveals, once he gives Leela her ears, he reveals during the opera that by hand, he meant hand in marriage, that Leela's going to have to marry him. And he will let Leela out of the deal as long as Fry gives him back his hands. And so Fry does that. But of course, when he loses his hands, he can't play the holophonier anymore. He can't continue with the opera. Nobody likes it. Everybody boos him. But in the end, it kind of turns out okay for Fry because Leela ends up caring about him anyway, because she realizes that it's not just his skills at the holophonier that she cares about. She cares about him as a human being. And the season finale, which is the series finale, initially. Ends with him practicing very carefully the holophonic to make one very blurry image of the woman he loves. So I love that version of it because it comes from this tradition of all of these deals with the devil, and it presents them in all sorts of wacky ways that are really funny during an episode which is itself a musical. While you're watching the opera, it's really funny all the way through. I thought it was just like the perfect end to that entire series, and really used that literary device in some very original and very, very funny ways. Basically, the outcomes that you're expecting from a deal with the devil are usually not going to be what you want them to be. It's kind of like the ironic genie, the genie who is going to grant your wishes, but in such a way that they're actually not what you want. You know, that's basically a version of the deal with the devil, if you will. So the genie grants you wishes, but you get bad versions of the wishes. Or, you know, you make a deal with, you use the monkey paw, and the monkey paw grants a wish, but it create something evil when you grant the wish. That's all versions of deals with the devil. So you're going to ask for something that you think you want, but it's maybe not going to be what you want, or that you're not going to understand the cost. You're not going to understand the value of your soul until later, or you're not going to understand the value of what you're trading to the devil until later on. So the cautionary element of it is don't make deals with the devil. Do not make deals with the devil, and you will be okay. Instead, you should be content with what you have and what you can earn through your hard work, even if it is not very much, because if you are going to trade something to the devil, you'll find that you are always going to be on the losing end of that bargain. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you're on my mailing list, dvspress.com/list, and I'll keep you appraised about the next book that's coming out, and then I'm going to have at least one more book before the end of the year. We've got a busy end of the year. Things have kind of stacked up late in summer, but I do have some stuff lined up for everyone to read. This next book that's coming out is technically a sequel to Crown of Sight. Oh, by the way, you can read my book on your creative process. Keys to prolific creativity to keep coming out books or music or whatever it is. So the sequel to this will be, that's what I'm working on now. It does have a deal with the devil. It should be quite fun and interesting fantasy book for you. If you want to read Crown of Sight for free and you don't want to pay the 99 cents for it, you can always pick up the Corona-chan Spreading the Love anthology, which I published earlier this year during the initial lockdown of the pandemic. It's free if you buy the ebook. I think this entire giant book is like $7 or something. So you can get the print version too if you want. So check that out, and you can read Crown of Sight for free. It's the last, I believe it's the last story in the book. So there it is, the Crown of Sight. All right. So thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next time. Leave me your comments down below about some of your favorite deals with the devil. It's been, they're all over the place. There's great movies with it, like Devil's Advocate and stuff like that. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.